This wasn't just a sneaker deal, it felt like a calculated power move. Why would a global giant like Nike commit massive money to a quarterback who hasn't taken a single NFL snap? That's the question that immediately started circulating across sports media. Because this wasn't just about performance. It wasn't even just about football. It was about control, about positioning, about sending a message before draft day even arrives. Shedeur Sanders has already built something most rookies don't have. Under the spotlight at Colorado, with his father Deion Sanders commanding headlines every week, he became more than a prospect. He became a brand. Flash, confidence, social media presence, cultural relevance. That kind of visibility doesn't wait for the NFL to validate it. And Nike saw that early. Instead of waiting for combined numbers or draft boards to settle, they moved first. Aggressive, strategic, almost disruptive. Some insiders believe this wasn't just about locking in talent, it was about preventing someone else from doing it. Because there was another brand in the mix. Adidas had reportedly been building a relationship behind the scenes, conversations, positioning, long-term planning. Reports suggest they believed they were in a strong negotiating position. Then suddenly the narrative shifted. The deal went public, headlines exploded, and Adidas was left responding instead of leading. That timing raised eyebrows. Was it coincidence? Was it strategic? Some fans believe the leak itself may have been part of the play, others think it was simple business chaos. Either way, the optics were clear. Nike looked decisive, Adidas looked cautious. But here, what makes this bigger than a contract number? Nike didn't just invest in an athlete, they invested in influence, in legacy, in a generational storyline that blends football, family, and culture. And by doing it now, before the NFL chapter officially begins, they changed the conversation entirely. This wasn't about shoes. It was about who controls the future narrative. This wasn't just another endorsement announcement. It felt calculated, almost strategic. When Nike officially aligned with Shedeur Sanders, it immediately sparked debate across football media. Why lock in a quarterback who hasn't even taken an NFL snap yet? Why move before draft night drama even begins? That timing alone raised eyebrows. Because this wasn't just about talent evaluation. Shedeur has been operating under a different kind of spotlight ever since arriving at Colorado with his father, Deion Sanders. Every press conference went viral. Every big throw became a trending clip. He wasn't just building a resume, he was building leverage, confidence, visibility, cultural presence, and brands don't wait around when momentum starts accelerating. Nike clearly understood that. Instead of reacting to the draft process, they moved first. That decision instantly shifted the power dynamic. Rather than Shedeur chasing corporate validation, it looked like the company was competing for him. And in today's NFL ecosystem, perception matters almost as much as performance. But that wasn't the full picture. Reports claim another global brand, Adidas, had been quietly exploring a potential partnership. Nothing confirmed publicly, but enough smoke to suggest there were conversations. Some insiders believe Adidas felt confident in its positioning. Then the Nike news broke, sudden, aggressive, definitive. And the optics changed overnight. Now the conversation wasn't about whether Shedeur deserved a deal. It became about who won the bidding war, who acted boldly, who hesitated. Even fans started debating whether this was about football or brand dominance. That's when the narrative shifted. Because this move says something deeper about the modern quarterback market. Rookie contracts are structured, endorsements are not, and securing a major brand before even stepping into an NFL huddle creates leverage. It signals confidence, it builds expectation, it raises the stakes before the first professional snap. Some fans believe this adds pressure, others argue it proves Shedeur is built for it. Either way, the spotlight just intensified. And here the key angle. Nike didn't just sign a prospect. They invested in a storyline, father and son, legacy and ambition, confidence and controversy. They bet on visibility as much as arm strength. They bet on momentum. The draft hasn't even happened yet, training camp hasn't started, but the chessboard is already moving. Because in today's NFL, the battle isn't only played on Sundays. Sometimes it starts long before kickoff. Talent gets you drafted, leadership keeps you starting. And this is where the conversation around Shedeur gets complicated. NFL locker rooms are different from college. veterans have families, contracts, incentives tied to every snap. They've seen hype before, they've watched can't-miss prospects miss. So when a rookie walks in already treated like a franchise savior, some players quietly take notice. Not publicly, never publicly. But privately, respect has to be earned. Some former players have hinted that the adjustment period could be the real test. Not throwing against complex defenses, not reading disguised coverages, winning over a room full of grown men who have been fighting for their jobs for years. And that's where legacy enters the picture again. Being the son of Shedeur Sanders carries weight. It opens doors, it builds instant recognition, but inside an NFL facility, last names don't complete third and eight. Your teammates want to see toughness. They want to see accountability after interceptions. They want to see how you respond when a defensive captain challenges you in practice. And what makes this even more interesting is how visible Shedeur already is. Every move trends, every quote circulates. That level of exposure can create confidence, but it can also create distance if not handled carefully. Some fans believe his poise under college pressure proves he'll adjust easily. Others argue the NFL humbles everyone eventually. That's when the conversation quietly shifted from "is he talented enough" to "is he ready for that environment?" Because being drafted high isn't the finish line. It's the beginning of a different kind of test. And not every quarterback passes that one right away. Before Shedeur even threw his first NFL pass, the business side of football had already made headlines. Nike's deal wasn't just big, it was historic. Reports claim the rookie signed a contract that could reach $100 million, including a percentage of all sales, creative control, and incentives tied to both performance and social media engagement. Some analysts suggest this is unprecedented for a player with 0 professional snaps. For comparison, even top rookies usually land deals far below this scale. Nike isn't just investing in talent, they're betting on a brand, a story, a cultural icon in the making. The timing of the leak amplified the drama. Insider documents suddenly surfaced, revealing the terms before Adidas or other competitors could react. The industry collectively paused. Executives were caught off guard, scrambling to explain missed opportunities. And the fallout wasn't limited to boardrooms. Social media exploded. Fans debated the wisdom of the contract, analysts dissected its strategy, and rival brands were forced to rethink their approach to emerging stars. Some believe this deal is a blueprint for the future of sports marketing. Invest in potential, influence, and visibility, not just current stats. But the real intrigue lies in the unknown. What happens if Shedeur doesn't meet the lofty expectations? Injuries, rookie mistakes, or adaptation struggles could turn a legendary contract into a cautionary tale. On the flip side, if he thrives, Nike stands to redefine how brands approach young talent. And what makes this deal even more fascinating is the message it sends. Nike isn't simply signing a player, they're staking a claim in cultural influence, signaling that they're willing to go all in on talent that transcends the field. The question now is whether Shedeur can play, but whether he can become a generational figure both on and off the turf. And what happened next in the market caught everyone off guard. Just days after the Nike leak, Adidas found itself in an impossible position. Executives were scheduled for a live segment on ESPN to discuss their NFL strategy, thinking it would be a routine discussion about cleats and sponsorships. Instead, they were ambushed with questions about Shedeur Sanders' $100 million deal. Reports described the moment as tense and awkward. The Adidas representative tried to deflect, claiming they value authentic relationships and couldn't comment on individual negotiations. But every answer sounded unprepared and hollow. Analysts and fans noticed immediately. A brand that had courted Shedeur for months was now exposed, unable to respond. Some insiders suggest Adidas may have underestimated the speed and scale of Nike's approach. Rumors indicate Adidas thought a traditional offer of $40–50 million might suffice, never expecting Nike to go nuclear. And Nike's leak was calculated, a masterclass in marketing. The document spread like wildfire, creating an instant public narrative of Adidas fumbling an obvious opportunity. The fallout was immediate. Social media erupted with memes and commentary mocking Adidas' misstep. Meanwhile, Nike quietly let the public narrative do the work for them, reinforcing their dominance in football marketing. Some fans believe this moment alone will be remembered for years as the day Nike outmaneuvered Adidas in the battle for young talent. And what happened behind closed doors at Adidas sent shockwaves through other brands. Just 3 days after Adidas' awkward TV appearance, Nike turned up the heat. They released a 60-second teaser video that instantly went viral. No dialogue, just visuals of Shedeur Sanders training at dawn, throwing perfect spirals and studying film. Then, the camera subtly focused on his feet, a glimpse of the signature sneaker. The design stunned fans, sleek, aggressive, and clearly built for speed and precision, mirroring Shedeur's playing style. The teaser ended with one bold line, "Prime time spring 2026. That single moment sent the internet into a frenzy. Sneakerheads analyzed every frame, sports analysts debated whether Shedeur's on-field performance justified such investment, and viral discussions erupted across social media. Nike's strategy was clear. They weren't just selling shoes, they were building a narrative. Shedeur wasn't just a promising rookie, he was a cultural icon, the son of Shedeur Sanders, balancing his father's legacy while crafting his own brand. Some insiders suggest Nike knew this storytelling power would outshine traditional stats or highlights, and they were right. This wasn't just marketing, it was a statement. Nike is willing to invest massively in potential, creating buzz before Shedeur even takes a full NFL snap. The ripple effect was immediate. Youth leagues began demanding Nike gear specifically tied to Shedeur, retailers reported spikes in pre-orders, and competitors started reconsidering their approach to signing rising stars. And that's only part of the story. Nike had more moves up their sleeve, ensuring this wasn't a one-off moment but the start of a strategic campaign that could redefine how brands approach young talent. While Nike was orchestrating hype, Adidas was left scrambling. The leaked $100 million deal blindsided their executives, and their live TV appearance only amplified the embarrassment. Walking into that ESPN segment, they expected to discuss cleat technology and marketing strategy. Instead, they were forced to respond to a story they hadn't prepared for. The executives' attempts to explain their position fell flat. Every word sounded defensive, every explanation hollow. Reports suggest internal meetings at Adidas turned chaotic as teams debated how such a massive talent slip could happen. Some insiders claim they immediately began reaching out to other college stars, trying to preempt another Nike coup. Adidas' misstep quickly became a viral talking point. Memes flooded social media, highlighting the contrast between Nike's aggressive strategy and Adidas' hesitation. Analysts dissected every decision, questioning how a brand with a long-standing relationship with Shedeur could lose such a pivotal signing. This wasn't just a lost contract, it was a public relations disaster. Shareholders and marketing teams felt the pressure as Nike's move dominated headlines. In one fell swoop, Adidas was portrayed as reactive rather than proactive, conservative rather than visionary. Some fans and insiders speculate that this moment could shape the next era of brand competition in the NFL. The lesson seemed clear. Hesitation at this level can be costly, and every major signing now carries heightened scrutiny. Adidas had to not only recover from a public embarrassment but also rethink its approach to courting young talent, knowing Nike had just reset the standard. The question everyone's asking, can Adidas bounce back, or is this the beginning of a long-term shift in NFL brand dominance? The answer could redefine how future rookie stars negotiate their first big deals. At the end of the day, the Shedeur Sanders Nike deal isn't just about a signature shoe or a massive payday. It's about vision, timing, and the gamble on potential. Nike didn't just invest in a football player, they invested in a brand, a story, and a generation of young athletes who see themselves in Sanders' rise. Every dollar of that $100 million contract is strategically placed to amplify not just on-field success but cultural influence, social media reach, and market dominance. Meanwhile, Adidas is left to pick up the pieces. They misjudged the moment, underestimated the power of narrative, and now have to defend a decision that the public already views as a colossal misstep. Analysts are dissecting their strategy, fans are comparing brands online, and Nike is quietly or not so quietly capitalizing on the momentum. This isn't just a PR loss, it's a statement to the entire sports marketing world. Hesitation at this level isn't just costly, it can redefine the balance of power between rival brands. So the real question isn't whether Shedeur Sanders is worth $100 million. He's already proven marketable enough for Nike to make that bet. The real question is whether Nike's strategy will pay off in the long term. Will Sanders' on-field performance live up to the hype? Can he carry a generation of sneakerheads and young fans through multiple NFL seasons? And perhaps most importantly, can Adidas recover from this public misstep and reclaim relevance in the football endorsement arena? Some insiders suggest this is just the start of a trend. Brands will increasingly place massive bets on unproven talent with strong personal brands and social influence. Others warn that overpaying for potential carries risks, especially in a sport as unpredictable as football. Injuries, competition, and unexpected failures could turn today's genius deal into tomorrow's cautionary tale. But for now, Nike looks untouchable. The social media campaign, the cinematic teasers, the seamless blend of culture and sport, it all works in their favor. Sanders has become a symbol of calculated risk, market savvy, and generational appeal. And while Adidas scrambles to respond, Nike is shaping the narrative, defining the future of football marketing, and setting the bar impossibly high for competitors. In the end, the question isn't who signed the deal, it's who will dominate the next decade of sports branding. And if you ask the market, the fans, and anyone watching this drama unfold, Nike has already made its statement loud and clear. Bet big on potential, control the story, and the rest will follow. The industry is watching closely, and the ripple effects of this move are only beginning to be felt. The endorsement headlines were loud, but inside league circles, the real conversation wasn't about shoes, it was about control. When Shedeur Sanders declared for the draft, executives around the NFL quietly began asking the same question: how much influence comes with him? Because drafting Shedeur doesn't just mean adding a quarterback. It means inheriting the orbit of Deion Sanders, one of the most outspoken and media-savvy figures the sport has ever seen. And that dynamic changes everything. Some analysts believe teams picking in the top 10 love the attention. A rookie quarterback who instantly sells tickets, moves merchandise, and dominates headlines, that's valuable. But others around the league reportedly have concerns. Not about talent, about optics, about noise, about whether the spotlight becomes too heavy too fast. That's when the debate intensified. Because on film, Shedeur checks real boxes, tough in the pocket, willing to take hits, accurate in tight windows. But critics point to the sacks he absorbed at Colorado. They question decision-making under pressure. They highlight moments where protection broke down and wonder how that translates against NFL pass rushers. And what happened next caught everyone off guard. Certain draft insiders began floating the idea that Shedeur might not go as high as expected, not because of ability, because of fit, because some franchises prefer quieter transitions at quarterback, less attention, fewer cameras, a slower build. Rumors suggest at least one front office is split internally, ownership intrigued by the brand potential, football staff more cautious about the media circus. Nothing confirmed publicly, but the whispers are there. That's when the conversation quietly shifted. This isn't just about arm talent anymore, it's about power dynamics, about who controls the narrative, about whether a rookie can walk into an NFL locker room filled with veterans and command respect immediately, especially when his platform is already massive. Some fans believe he'll thrive under that pressure. Others think the expectations are being inflated beyond reason. Either way, the draft board just became more complicated. Because when a quarterback arrives with hype, legacy, endorsement deals, and constant cameras, teams aren't just evaluating throws. They're evaluating impact. And that decision could redefine more than just one franchise's future.